Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of my going through the woodpecker method. So in the last video we failed just on this puzzle, unfortunately, but we'll pass it now. And it was all to do with this particular pin that I missed in this particular puzzle. Okay, right, so we're on to the next one. This is puzzle 113. Just trying to remember. Oh yeah, this one's a bit of a pain in the arse actually, if I'm being honest with you. So the idea is obviously this knight is under attack, and in order to survive its capture, we've got this nice pattern with the knights where we can do this in-between check here, thus winning us a pawn. If he captures the knight on the pawn, we then take the rook, and we're also winning there. So yeah, here we'd love to capture this rook here, but as I say, this knight is under attack now. So we throw in this in-between move, and then we can capture the rook, and we end up a pawn ahead. Okay, so with this one, if I remember correctly, this is one I tend to always accidentally get the alternative answer. But it's all to do with this capture on this pawn here, because once that pawn goes, this bishop can come flying in and deliver a nice check here, and that comes with the added bonus of also forking this knight as well. So I think, if I remember, I capture with this knight. So that says alternative, so I think it's got to be this one then. I don't know if it really matters which one it is. Oh, am I going to do the right one here? Yes, okay, sorry, take this first. Right, there we go. So now everything is going to be lost. So this knight's going to either fall or this knight's going to go. And yeah, I mean, if this knight tries to run away to try and protect this knight, we've got an exchange and then capture the rook. Or in fact, actually, instead of capturing the knight, we just take the rook there straight away. That's actually much better. Okay, so white to play in this one. Yeah, so this one is a queen sack. When in doubt in any tactics puzzle, always go for the queen sack. So for this one, we sack the queen, and then this comes with a lovely double check here with the bishop. So that is the idea with that one, and we go in for the mate. Okay, so this is a very famous one actually. I love showing this one to students because it's a very particularly good queen sacrifice, and it's very hard to see. But essentially, ideally, we'd love to capture this rook and fork the king and queen, but the king's on the wrong square. So to get it on the right square, we can go to this square, and after capture, this comes with a check, and we take the queen. Very, very nice checkmate, that one. I'm not sure where it was played. I think it looks like it's game 10 of their. I think it was of their World Championship match. So Tigran Petrosian successfully defended against Boris Spassky in that particular defence, but lost it the next time that they played against each other. Okay, so white's to play in this one. So with this particular one, there's a nice checkmate in 2 idea here. So we first capture this pawn off. He has to capture there with a rook, there's no other move, and then we can throw in the lovely knight checkmate there. I think I really like Tigran Petrosian's tactics actually. He was actually a tactical monster. He's not considered one because of his rock solid prophylactic defense, but in actual fact he was really good at tactics. Not a lot of people know that. Okay, so with this one there's a very nice 2-move checkmate in this one as well. So we move the rook there, that forces the rook over, and then the knight comes in with a smothered mate. So very nice checkmate there. Okay, so white to play in this one. So if memory serves me, I need to capture this knight with the rook. So when I originally did this puzzle, I took this way, and then this bishop captures, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can take the rook, but it just captures back, so there's absolutely no good at all. The actual solution, therefore, is in fact you capture this bishop here, and then you capture here, and then there's these checkmate threats basically. So after he comes here, we can deliver checkmate, I believe, in two ways. So we can either do it this way, or we can do it with h3 as well. So either way works in this one. Okay. So this particular one is a deflection one. So ideally we want to get the queen here to deliver a check. The king goes, we move there, but the queen's there defending that square. So we need to deflect them away, and after that we can then come in with the checkmate. Okay, so let's have a look here. So we're now on Boris Spassky. Boris, really strong player, very underrated player. I think a lot of people just know him as the guy who lost to Fischer, which is a shame, because he actually was a very good universal player. Didn't really have many weaknesses in his players at all. Very good opening theoretician, good in the middle game, very good in end games as well. I think his biggest strength is probably the middle game actually. And there's some absolutely fantastic games where he just totally outplays his opponents in the middle game. In any case, with this one, so the key bit of tension is around this these bishops that are opposite each other. So essentially, in order to break the tension, we can move this pawn forward, and in doing so, although this bishop can capture this bishop, this pawn can come in. In fact, actually, I think, oh yeah, so we go there, captures, we take the bishop, and he's got no time to take the rook or save the bishop, because our next capture will be with a promotion and capturing a rook as well. So that is the solution to that one. There we go. Okay, so black to play in this one. So this is a rook sack, if I remember correctly. So you want to do this move, and then the queen comes in, it's checkmate in two. Okay, and this one is a funny one. There's a nice pin on this bishop here with this bishop, and yeah, gives us checkmate if he moves the bishop. So it doesn't really matter what he does actually. I think if I go back a second, I think he can just play c3. Ooh, sorry. I wonder what happens after c3. Let's see, c6, but he was just a piece down after that. Because if he takes with the king now, well, okay, he was already down a piece anyway, so that's basically that's basically it with that. It's not really a great solution. Okay, so white's to play in this one. Let me see, what is the solution to this one again? Oh, okay, right, I can capture this pawn. There's a nice fork here actually. So we can take here, and then there's the fork there, and we can take the bishop off. Okay, white to play. Alright, yeah, this one's a tricky one, because basically there's lots of things going on in this one. So you'll notice that this black knight is hanging, so we could take this at any time, but unfortunately our rook is hanging too. So what we have to do is do basically a desperado move. So we capture this off, and after the rook captures we can then take, and we go up some material there. So So I think that's the solution, if I remember correctly. I don't think there's anything better there. Yeah, and then we just take the knight. There's not really any easy move to do with the rook. We can't really move it away because he just moves his knight away, and there's no tactics. But here we go up for 2 pieces for a rook in this one. Okay, so black to play. This one is a classic queen sack. So capture here. So many queen sacks in these ones. And that comes with a fork, which is nice. Oh, this one's a lovely one. Right, okay, I really like this one. This one is a Anastasia mate, so it can be delivered with the queen coming here. And after the rook comes here, this is a lovely pattern to know, checkmate pattern with the knight and the rook. It's known as an Anastasia mate. I was hoping it would show that on this, but it hasn't actually done that, which is a shame. Okay, I'll just look for the next one to load. Okay, black to win. The black is winning with many moves, but only one is a forced mate. Again, let me get this one right. I feel like I've struggled on this one before. But, oh yeah, no, I know this one. Again, there's another queen sack in this one. Essentially, with this particular one, we've got to use all our pieces, and in particular, this bishop actually has a very nice diagonal to go to here, where it can join in the attack. But to get that there, we need to basically sack loads and loads of pieces and move the king over to this square. Once it's over there, we can deliver a Lawnmower Mate with our rooks. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So there's a capture, another capture. The king goes here. If he went to this square, this would be really good for us, as we can move the bishop in, and after the king moves, we would deliver a Lawnmower Mate, so to speak. So that's why he has to come here. But now we can evict him over to this square with 2 of our rooks. After he comes here, he has to go to that. And we can do mates with either one of these rooks. I'm going to go with this rook. Okay, and that is the checkmate. I don't like this one all that much. I failed on it a few times. I guess it wins, but I just wish it went a bit further in the variation. I think is my main issue. I say that actually there's not really much more to go through. But essentially the solution is f5. After the bishop comes here, we've got this lovely square to go to on e7. And actually the queen has to move. As soon as it moves this bishop, then it captures there. So I don't know why I don't like the solution to it. Actually, the solution's fine. I think maybe I'm the problem. I think. Right, so white to play in this one. Let's see. Let me see. It's mate in 5 moves. Okay. That's our hint. So I like. So I guess whenever I try and solve these ones which are like mate in 5s, I mean there's 2 ways to do it. You could try and calculate the lines all the way to the end, which is quite hard, I'll be honest with you, or you just look at the moves that look like they make the most sense. And the first one I'm looking at is just just capturing the bishop here. After the rook captures, this rook can then swing into play and start being an active part of the attack. And I think really there's not really much way to stop that that threat. So I'll try and see if I can calculate it manually. The problem we've got is we have to basically have moves that are all checks, because this is a checkmate in 1 and we don't really want to waste our time. Well, actually, even if we do that, queen comes down here, so every move has got to be a check. So I need to look at the moves that make the most sense here. We can't really take the queens because I think we run out of firepower. The bishop and the rook are not going to be sufficient to mate this king. But after the bishop comes here, rook captures, rook down, that comes with check. The king has to go up the board. If he plays the rook down, we just capture the rook. So he has to go up the board. Let's say he goes to, well, we'll have first look at this move. After that, we capture the rook, and then there's going to be a mate next move somewhere. If he goes to this square, I'm just trying to see where. Oh, we can't do that because the queen's there. So yeah, that would have to be the only legal square, in which case we deliver the mate. Right, so that is the solution. So king goes there, we take here, and we take there. Oh, we can do that as well. Okay, so that's also mate. Right, so there we go. Okay, black to play. Black to play. If memory serves me, it's something to do with this bishop. So I can capture this, deflect the queen over, take the knight. After this, we can then take the bishop. So some lots of exchanges in that one. Back to me. This is a good one. I really like this puzzle, and you know, if you want to, I would highly recommend you show this to your friends. You know, anyone in your chess club or whatever, because this is a really, really good one. So essentially, the move is this. It's the only move, and it saves the game. The idea being, if this rook king captures, this will lead to a draw. It's a stalemate draw, because the king has no squares, no legal squares it can go to. So that's a really good one if you want to show friends that one and go, oh, who's winning in this? And then you just show them solution and you go, oh, well, there we go. Spassky's managed to save it. Okay, so the solution to this one revolves around this square. I'd love to get the knight here, but there's a pawn there. So essentially, we remove the pawn, we then create that threat. All the stuff down here is not, it looks dangerous, but in actual fact, black is relatively safe even for a couple moves. So I think when I first saw this position, and I played the move, and I was thinking, I don't know if I like my position down here, but it's totally fine. It's totally safe, as weird as it sounds. At any point as well, we can maybe shuffle our king somewhere, or I don't know, maybe I don't know. I'm not too sure, but in any case, that's the solution there. After knight captures, we got that, which is really good. So there we go. I mean, I'm surprised you'd capture here. I wonder if there's actually anything. I guess the problem here is we're still threatening this move. So whatever he does with his king, moves the king up, forward. We can throw in another check here, I guess, and start swapping off white's material. If you're in these sort of positions where you're having to defend a little bit, just try and swap everything off. That tends to be the best way to defend the positions. Right, so we're on to Robert Fisher. Love this quote. Tactics flow from a superior position. Very true, very true. And here, there's lots of tactics here. So with this one, it's a simple deflection tactic. You'll notice this bishop controls this lovely diagonal. If we can get our queen to this diagonal here, then it will control the other diagonal. But the problem is there's a queen there. So we need to deflect that queen off that square. And we deliver... Oh, queen somehow saves it, but we can deliver the mate there. Right, black to play. Black to play in this one. This is another one I tend to get wrong. But I'll probably get this one right. So you have to capture this square, if I remember, and that allows him to capture our rook. We take the bishop with a check. I think that's correct. Well, he moves like his knight or something. It's really... I've always found the solution to this one to be really odd, because I'm not too sure why he doesn't just take our rook here. I think there's some I honestly don't know, but this is the right answer. And then he moves the rook, which I never quite understood why. And here I think we just have to consolidate. So we take this. Ooh, do we take that way? Yeah, we take that way, and then. Yeah, we take the rook now, and that's if there's this, there's that. So let's have a look. So it goes there, got check, king h1, bishop takes. Okay, apparently that's just winning. So, all right, fair enough then. So there's not really much more to that. I just feel as though when I look at this puzzle, I think black's not that bad in this position. I mean, white's not that bad. It's playable, but yeah, it's still losing, I guess. But I mean, I'd play on with this if I was white. I mean, it's not a brilliant position, but it's a position. Certainly a position. Okay, black to play. Black to play. Just a simple discovered attack. And this one is a deflection one. So again, this rook defends that square. We take it off. You notice we've got a lovely queen fork. And in this one, I say this one quite a lot, and I need to try and find a different word. Okay, so black is threatening to take this queen, but our attack here is faster. So if we captured this here, the key line is, okay, what happens if the queen gets captured? Against this, we just move the pawn forward, and there's nothing to stop this mate threat. So with that in mind, if you capture, this king captures, we just shuffle the queen along. Is that right, or no? Is anything better? Maybe we can just go the queen. The queen comes there. Oh no, we can deflect it off though quite easily. So okay, so that is the move. It's going to do that solution instead, which is quite an entertaining solution. But yeah, if this, let's see. Okay, well, knight captures there is pretty good too, and then goes there. So that looks pretty good. All right. So there's a nice discovered attack. So once this queen comes out, it's threatening checkmate on g2 with the bishop, with the queen. So with that in mind, we'll just do it. Queen goes there. We take this. There we go. Okay, let's go. No, hold on, let's do this right. No, we have to take this way first, because the knight then goes down. That opens up the rook, because the rook has to take back the knight, and so we then win the rook that way. So this is a better way of doing it. Then we jump in here. Then we take the rook. Yes, there we go. Okay. So this one, it's all around. It's all the tension centers around this pawn. So you'll see here that lots of pieces are ready to capture. But once we capture with the bishop first, and the bishop recaptures, the bishop's then in a pin to the rook to the queen, so we can then push forward with b4. So that is the solution to that one. Like so. Back to play. So white is threatening to capture the bishop. So we need to threaten checkmate here on h2. And the way to do that, we go to the bishop here. That threatens that. Once white responds to that, then you can take this bishop here, because this bishop's hanging as well. So there we go. Take the bishop, and the knight moves back to try and hit it, but we can just consolidate here after this move. Nice easy win. Okay, so white to move in this one. So this is just a knight fork again. You sack the rook. After that, you can then move in with the knight here. Just very quickly, if he did take with the king, as another thing, you just take here, and then you've got a lovely skewer on the king and queen. Black to play here. Let's see. So let me try and remember what I had to do here. Okay, yeah, you come to this square with the check, and then you can take the bishop off. But I'm just trying to think here. If you did that here, takes the rook, and then what? Ah, no, it's not that. Okay, that's not the threat. So you come here with the check, king moves along, you can then play f2. That's a really powerful move. So the rook has to capture. After this, you've got a back row mate here. So it's nothing to do with this bishop. So this. Okay, so I think it prefers this move instead, which is just as good. Okay, does the same thing. Black to play. So. Looking at this back rank and thinking, something should work here. Okay, yeah, so knight comes there, which forks the king, the queen and the rook. If rook captures, then the queen comes flying into a1. So that is the move. So capture there, and we win a piece. He's going to capture back this way, but it's fine. His position's now winning. Okay. Just get this right. The problem we've got is there's these potential annoying checks. I think you can accidentally run into a perpetual check. So yeah, actually with that in mind, this queen sack's much better. I was looking at this thinking, yeah, you could just flexion that way, but no, this is way better. So then we do that, and checkmate. On to Anatoly Karpov. I think I missed when he came on onto the scene. So there we go. Okay. Let me see now. What is the move in this one? I must say, as I say, with some of the later puzzles, I think I've got like the first 100 pretty well memorized when I first sort of started doing the book. But as soon as I get to sort of the 100 to 200s, and then 200 to 224, I do tend to slow down a little bit, which is good. It means I actually have to really think about the solution. Instead of just seeing straight away, yep, that's a tactic. Yep, that's a tactic. I think this move works. Rook to g4. If the queen takes, knight takes. Yeah, I think that works. Let's do that. Knight here, and that's winning. And black. Okay, so this one is a sacrifice, if I remember correctly. Essentially, no, is that right? No, it isn't. Is it? No, I think it's bishop check. Yeah. Then you sacrifice because this comes with a tempo. So you want to first shift the king over to f1. After that, when you do the sacrifice, this comes with another check, and white's going to basically get checkmated at some point. So again, this one is just all to do with the potential of your pieces, looking at how all of them can come into play as quickly as possible. So that is the move. And then captures, and there's no stopping us now. Wherever this king goes, this will be some form of checkmate. Alright, this is a toughie, but it's possible. I've struggled on this one before. I think sometimes I'll get to the final couple moves and then I'll fail it. But it's all to do with this pass pawn. We want to be trying to escort it down. The first thing we do is come here, delivering the fork, and now we let's make sure we get this correct. We ideally you can take this bishop, but of course the rook captures back, and actually black's winning in that endgame. So you need to capture with the pawn first. The rook comes here. You then shift your rook slightly along, and now that is then threatening to come to d8. And yeah, that's basically it. So come here, and now we do this. This now comes with a check. If the king moves up, we can then come in with a promotion and exchange to a rook. Alright, this one is a deflection. So just want to make sure there's nothing better actually here. So just capture there, and then capture this rook. And with this one, this is the fun one. This is a good one. And there's another one that you should show this to everyone that you know. It's a really good, it's a classic Mark Taimanov versus Anatoly Karpov. So here you've got this lovely knight check here. After the pawn captures, so well very quickly after this first, you take the rook, that's winning. After pawn captures, this is where the mate is. Rook to a8, threatening to come to h8. I just love that. That's such a cool, inventive mate by Mr. Taimanov. So there we go. Rook comes down, and it's going to be mate followed up very soon. Okay, very famous this one. This is I think it's this game 17, isn't it? But this was the first game, I'm pretty sure. So the game itself was a Tartakova in the Queen's Gambit Declined. It's one of the games I've looked at quite a lot because I've been looking at the Tartakova and some of the plans in it, and black just gets a beautiful position in this one, and as you can see here, ends up with a very, very delicious mate. So and yeah, Anatoly, this is probably their best game that they played in their World Championship. So Karpov just totally outplays Korchnoi in this particular game. So anyway, this is the first move, followed by this and that. Okay, so nice mating moves. Okay, so there's a queen sack in this line, so you capture here, and that relinquishes the defense of f7. Okay, ordering is really important in this particular one. So you want to take this bishop first, and after you've done that, you're then threatening to come here. If he captures with the queen, again, this is the threat. But more importantly, you're protecting quite a lot of things here. If you go straight away here, the problem is the king can kind of shift away, and you're not really threatening anything. And black, on the other hand, is now ready to start like a counter attack along here, so you'd have to throw probably a barrage of checks in against your opponent. So that's why this is the move to play here. Also, I mean, another thing, your bishop coming here, potentially creating some threats. So you've got to get rid of this bishop first. The queen there, thank you very much. I'm going to win the queen now. Okay, this one is a discovered attack. So coming here, which hits the queen. After pawn captures, you can take the bishop. That is threatening mate. So there we go. Decides to take that way, but we can take the queen now. This is a deflection, so you notice this queen is hitting the rook. Only the king defends it, so that's why we need to shift him out of the way, and we can take the rook now. This one again is a deflection, so we can deflect the king here now and take the queen. This is still interesting. I wonder. No, I mean it's totally winning for white, so yeah, there's nothing much more there to say. Okay, 158. Probably stop in a minute, as I'm starting to getting fatigued now a little bit. Just for a quick break, and I come straight back into this. So white to play. Yeah, okay, so with this particular puzzle, it's all to do with the mobility of the queen. It hasn't got a whole lot of squares it can go to. It's got this square. If it came to this square, we just push on F3, and that's a bit of goner. So the way to win this one is we first play the knight to this square, to D5, which has an added threat of coming to C7, so delivering a fork to the queen and the king. If pawn captures, this is absolutely fine. We take this pawn. That's still threatening the queen, and well, there's not really much the queen can do about it. It hasn't got anywhere it can run to. So that's the move. Then we go here, and then we can capture the rook. Okay, white to play in this one. If I remember, this one is all to do with, look at his queen sack line, thinking that works. I think it does. After you queen sack, pawn takes, the threat is this. I don't think there's any way to stop that. Yeah, I think that works. So here, rook there, and you're threatening mate. Alright, I'll do this as the last one in this section. So here, bishop here looks pretty good. Deflects the knight, and then we can take the queen. Alright, So we're now on puzzle 160. I'm going to stop at 223. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.